Ladies and gentlemen, and this is How to Survive Victorian London by channel BlueJay. Yes, another BlueJay video. It's about Survive Victorian London. Yeah, okay. I know Victorian London is basically the late 19th century. Yes, mid to late 19th century, right? Yeah, that's the Victorian London, I guess. So obviously there were many things, right? Many diseases came about because of it. Because this was the height of industrial revolution in London places, right? Victorian London. So, this brought more people into one concentrated place, cities, right? And that causes a lot of outbreaks that usually wouldn't have happened. In the past, when people are not concentrated in one place like this because of industries, a diseases come, they kind of get quarantined by themselves because they're in village, they're here, and whatever, just one house, they don't have that many visitors, things like that. Because of this, there's many diseases that happens, right? Because of industrialization, everybody just crammed together, conditions are worse. So I'm guessing lots of diseases came up. We definitely know about cholera, right? Jon Snow. I saw that video from Extra History. And now their name is actually, yeah. So I'm pretty sure I saw the video from there, the series, how Jon Snow realized that this is just, because of the pumps, and they have to get rid of the pumps because that's where it's coming from. People like it's the smell, but no, it wasn't the smell. So, obviously he's going to talk about things like that, but knowing that this is a BlueJay video, obviously there's going to be some quirky things here and there that I have no idea about, some ridiculous shit here and there, so it's going to be fun. Let's watch it.
Watch Downton Abbey and find yourself thinking, I should have been born in the Victorian era. Well, you're stupid. Firstly, because Downton Abbey takes place 11 years after the Victorian era, silly goose. And secondly, because life in Victorian London would be absolutely terrifying for someone accustomed to the luxuries of the 21st century.
Okay, anybody who thinks maybe I should have been born there are ridiculously stupid. Every time somebody says anything previous and things like, what if I was born 100 years ago? That would be awesome. What if I was born during the times of Vikings? That would have been awesome. No, it wouldn't be. What are you, high? Last thing, World War II was horrific. Since then, right, it slowly got better. Anything before that, you are wishing that's just horrible. Even the living conditions, even the people's right and freedom weren't as that great. Oh, I wonder, it would be awesome if I was, alive in Wild West in America. Yeah, you've been shot. That's what would happen. Let's be honest.
But let's say you somehow end up in a Freaky Friday situation and switch bodies with a bona fide Victorian. How are you going to survive the London streets? Not to worry. With my extensive background studying history, certified by my 90,000 Reddit karma, I'm here to teach you everything you need to know to survive the Victorian era. Alright, so you just finished your Disney Channel style body swap and have officially transported over a century back in time to Victorian London. Gah! What? What is it, James? My body? What's happening? It looks like during the body swap you've received a lethal dose of gamma radiation. Oh, and your hairline is receding. My hair? Oh yeah, actually 2 out of every 3 guys will experience some form of hair loss by the time they're 35. But about that radiation, BlueJay, how do I keep it? Alright, weird priorities. Well, really the best way to combat hair loss would be with Keeps.
Maybe it's the
a
radiation.
Fantastic doctor-recommended online service that offers clinically proven treatment to stop hair loss and improve hair growth. They're customer-focused with a 24/7 care and support network of expert medical advisors and care specialists at the ready to help you with any questions you might have. Whether you're looking to prevent hair loss, stimulate hair growth, or honestly, if you just want to take better care of your hair in general, Keeps is perfect for you. They even got award-winning shampoo and conditioner. When's the last time you won an award? Never? I know. Here you go. Now for the radiation. Well, at least they'll go out with luscious curls. Hair loss stops with Keeps. To get 50% off your first order, go to keeps.com/BlueJay or click that link in the description. That's KEEPS.com/BlueJay. Thank you, Keeps, for sponsoring the video. Of course, Alex, you're gonna have to wait a few centuries until you've got internet again, as you're now in Victorian London. The city is booming from the results of the Industrial Revolution. The air is dense, but the stunning Gothic Revival architecture still manages to pierce through all the smog. It's a city of rapid expansion and expensive projects, starkly contrasted by the overflowing slums. But man, taking in all these new sites is really starting to make you
I mean, that's what I'm sure. If you were living then, that would have been some striking thing, right? Because like I said, around this time cities were becoming more populated and dense because of Industrial Revolution. So nothing like London would have existed before this. Like it won't be booming like this before. like it would have been around this time. So it would be something like just seeing industries go around, and obviously the more people are here, the entertainment would have been like circus, what was the freak show, whatever they called it, right? Different type of people come on, people just go there to watch it. Entertainment area would have been hyped as well. So people probably visited London thinking, oh, we're going to be entertained or whatever.
Thirsty, so you headed over to a well pump for a fresh sip of water. First mistake. What are you, crazy? You won't even survive a day here. You can't drink the water. Cholera outbreaks are about as common as an office quote in a Tinder bio. The booming population of London, combined with newly introduced indoor plumbing, resulted in overwhelming amounts of raw sewage. This sewage ended up in the Thames River, which happens to be London's main source of drinking water, thus completing the circle of life. During one cholera outbreak, Jon Snow, a supporter of germ theory, looked at all this sewage in their drinking water and had the hot take of, hey, what if we drink water, but without the poop? And ended the outbreak by ripping off the handle of a contaminated well pump. At the time, the community believed in the miasma theory, basically the idea that diseases were transmitted through foul odors. So government officials still rejected Snow's theory of fecal-oral transmission, stating, "Germs in the water? Don't be ridiculous. It was stinky air." And this wouldn't be the last time a Jon Snow's potential was shattered. So unless you want to die a painful death, I suggest boiling your water, or just stick to hard liquor, where the alcohol would not only kill any germs, but also help drown that regret you're starting to feel for wishing to be in Victorian London instead of shutting up and playing Wordle like a good little consumer.
Alright, that alcohol thing makes me remember all the drunk people, right? I mean, their hand is probably, drenched with alcohol. I mean, obviously the concentrate is not going to be that strong of alcohol, but still, their hands would have been drenched with alcohol. So, if any places has any kind of a germs there, right, where normal people would touch it and, I guess have germs on their hand and eventually get sick because of it, these drunk people wouldn't have been, because their hand is already covered with alcohol, like, it was sanitized itself. I don't know. Would it work like that? I don't know. I'm pretty sure it, right? Because I remember on field, on military, somebody's getting some kind of wound, they literally pour any basically alcohol, drinking alcohol without high level of alcohol contact, just normal, normal alcohol. They just pour it and it's sanitized. I guess it would work.
Alright, now that you're properly shit-faced, you're gonna need to pinpoint your social class so you know who you're allowed to interact with. But isn't who I am inside more important than some social class? No! Simply talking to a social class higher than yours is enough to get you arrested here.
There you go.
Luckily, it's rather easy to find out which one you belong to. For example, are you over the age of 25 and alive? Then you're probably not in the lower class, as male tradesmen and laborers had life expectancies of 25 and 22 respectively.
What?
But let's say you find yourself a member of the respectable upper class. What can you expect from your newly found privileged life? Well, first off, you can kiss the thought of a hard day's work goodbye, because with the fortune your family has built over generations through certainly non-exploitive means, you'll never have to work a day in your life. So instead, you're gonna have to find out how to kill all this free time you got on your hands. Being a person with enough wealth to buy a handful of developing nations, or 1 GPU, you decide to use your money to give back to the poor people whose blood, sweat, and fossil...
Okay, is this a real thing? No way it's a real thing, right? I hope... I'll lose my shit if this is a real thing. It won't be costing that much around, obviously the height of crypto, whatever that was a year or two ago. It can't cost that much, come on. See, the graphics card have gone ridiculous, right? I'm a big PC man, right? And I'm the kind of, I could spend money, but I'm not going to, because I'm not paying that ridiculous money that they're asking for nowadays. Are you high? I mean, it's like 3-4 times what it used to be just like, 7-8 years ago? I mean, I get it, technology gets better and it becomes expensive, sure, but not this expensive.
1 GPU, you decide to use your money to give back to the poor people whose blood, sweat, and Fossy Jaws helped you build your riches. So you buy tickets to next Tuesday's Freak Show. Freak shows were essentially the MCU of the Victorian era, loved by people of all ages and social classes, except for pretentious people who prefer more refined entertainment, like seances. Everyone from your average Joe to Queen Victoria herself loved to goggle and laugh at all the different looking people performing. These freak shows showcase people with physical abnormalities, such as dwarfs, conjoined twins, giants, fat people, thin people, hairy people, ethnic people, and whatever else they thought.
Isn't that ridiculous, right? Look at that. It's supposed to be part, being obese was part of, being in a freak show, whatever. Look at that person. I'm pretty sure I've seen like some other clip that, was it John Oliver? I don't know who that was, who also talked about this. But isn't that ridiculous? Look at that. And nowadays, obesity is rising so much that normal people looks like that. I mean, that's how rich countries are getting. That you can eat so much that you can look like someone like that. who once was considered, not that long, one or two, 1.5 century ago, was considered a freak, because people didn't eat that much, they didn't have money to it. So nowadays people have so much money they can eat like that and be obese. Obviously not everywhere, but rich countries like US and places like that.
Pique people's curiosity. Gather round, folks, gather round, for I'm about to unveil the wonders of the world. Realities beyond your comprehension. Freaks from distant and foreign lands. Meet the man of hair. The precious Piper Pinky. And behold, Paul! I thought this was a freak show. Oh, trust me, Paul's a freak. However, the reign of freak shows came to an end as reports of mistreatment of the performers.
That's the thing, right? In the freak shows, the presenter, they amp things up such a high, like talk about like, holy shit, they're gonna, make something appear out of nowhere or something, real magic or something. They amp things up a lot for simplistic thing. I guess at the time, it would have felt like that. Obviously nowadays, if you're gonna see something like that, what you talking about? Our entertainment, value has gone so up that things like that, like, what are you talking about?
Came to light, and the public was furious to find out that the people they went to laugh at for being less than human were being treated as less than human. But now that you've reached your limit of being near the working class who aren't actively carrying your dry martini on a silver platter, it's time for you to build your social status with your fellow aristocrats. To do this, you're gonna have to capitalize on some of the trends of the time. No, not child labor, we'll get to that later. I'm talking Egyptomania. Napoleon's campaigns in Egypt brought back trade and artifacts to Europe, eventually igniting a craze for all things Egyptian in the West due to its perceived exotic nature. This craze peaked during the Victorian era, and Victorians sure had interesting ways of indulging in this trend, such as hosting mummy parties. Not the Brendan Fraser kind, they weren't that based. Specifically, they held mummy unwrapping parties. Getting your hands on a mummy was the easy part. You could literally cop one from street vendors in Egypt like a pin from Disney World, but unwrapping them required a trained professional called an unroller. Why exactly they had to hire a professional to do some glorified banana peeling is beyond me, but I can only assume that their training involved a significant amount of fruit by the foot. Essentially, a bunch of people would gather round to watch the unroller unwrap the mummy and perform an autopsy, including cutting into the skull to go, oh my god, look, he's got a brain, that's crazy.
Look at everybody just sitting around, yes, and just, with the monocle or whatever that is. Yes, this is exotic, we are doing something exotic. We are rich people, look at that shit. That's just, in the end, they're just desecrating a corpse or whatever.
The fragments of the pungent mummy wrappings were then passed throughout the audience for their, pleasure, I guess. What am I supposed to do with this? While today we recognize hosting an unboxing party for corpses and disgracing a people's history is the most optimal way to speedrun a Twitter hashtag, the Victorians just couldn't help but satisfy their intrigue. And in their defense, they basically came gift-wrapped. But if you need any more convincing on how evil this practice was, the most famous unwrapper was a surgeon named Pettigrew. But overall, in the upper class, you won't need to worry all that much about staying alive. Except for the arsenic in your walls, lead on your dolls, corsets in your torsos, cyanide in your photos, strychnine in your tablets, explosive bits of plastic, kitchens full of toxins, morphine for your youngins, mercury-coated hats, radiation from your glass, kerosene in hair products, and asbestos in just about everything. Good luck. But what if you aren't lucky enough to live the life of a Victorian Scrooge McDuck, and instead you find yourself—
That's why, your average life was so low, right? 40, 50 years, somebody enters 60 years, like, oh, look at that, he's entering 60, because shit like that. Every small thing was killing you, and eventually your body is like, you accumulate enough of crap inside of you, by the time you're like 50 or 60s, you're done. I mean, lead literally makes you stupid. It actually blocks your pathways in the brain if you take enough lead inside of you. And, world didn't stop, lead in paints and things until what, 1995 or something?
Living la vida pobre in the working class. Hold off on the booze there, buddy. As tempting of a coping mechanism alcohol is, we gotta make sure you even survive childhood first. Let's put you in a humble family of 7 kids. Shit, 4 of your siblings just died. What? Oh yeah, nearly 60% of working class children died before the age of 5. Good for you, champ, you won the coin toss. I need to lie down. So long as it's in a minor chimney, because it's time for you to get to work. I'm 5 years old. And about time you started contributing to the family, you lazy leech. Without child labor laws—
Timmy died so you could live. It's time for you to work.
Working class kids started working as early as 4 years old. Now pick your poison, chimney sweeping or coal mining. Well, I suppose it's just a 9 to 5. 9 to 5? No. Victorian children were expected to work 12 to 18 hours a day. Gotta beat out that optimism
fuck
early.
you, no. Hell no, that's one of those exaggerated stats. No way that's true. A kid cannot work 12 to 18 hours. Physically can't do that. No way that's true. Right? You always have these exaggerated stats about the past, and eventually the more data you get, eventually you realize that it's not as extreme as that. I think this is one of those things. Maybe, they've worked here and there, take a break, then work here and there and take a break. Like, there's no actual schedule. In that way, it was 12 or 18 hours, but no way they can work that much.
Besides, you've only got that small stature for so many years. Companies have to capitalize on your ability to squeeze in the tight spaces while you can. Now, these are still your formative years, so we gotta make sure you choose the child profession that'll cause the least amount of physical and emotional trauma. There were a lot, but let's narrow it down to chimney sweep and coal miner, and weigh some pros and cons. As a coal miner...
Okay, I'm sorry, this is just fucking ridiculous seeing this.
But let's narrow it down to chimney sweep...
Look at that kid, man. That's just some damn fucking hell.
Sweep and coal miner, and weigh some pros and cons. As a coal miner,
seriously, but coal miner was one of the big jobs. This is industrial revolution, of course it is. And all the horrible things of coal mining, people had no idea of it around, especially early times, right? And they had to do that. And all the issues, consumptions and shit, right? Tuberculosis and things like that just started. Yeah, that's just fucked up. This feels like, that Outer Worlds type of element, right? I recently played that game because I couldn't give a shit about it earlier, but then I decided, fuck it, let's just play it, and realize game is really good. And in that, you know how companies own everything. This feels something similar to that. Oh, it's time to put you to work, Timmy.
You can expect some permanent eye damage due to eye strain from the dark environment, respiratory problems from coal dust, permanent spine deformation due to stooping, and of course there was the occasional explosion or cave-in. But on the bright side, you're essentially playing the closest Victorian equivalent to Minecraft. As for chimney sweeps, say goodbye to the skin on your elbows and knees, as that's all getting scraped off. You'll experience some irreversible lung damage from all the soot, and there's a high risk of death from falling or getting stuck in the tight chimneys. But at least you can die happy knowing that when Mary Poppins comes out in 100 years, Dick Van Dyke will forever cement your profession as much cooler than it actually was.
Yeah, making things worse. Yeah, people think glorifying certain thing is, good way to put spotlight on that. Not really, you're glorifying something. Glorifying coal mining, just be like, look at that coal mining. Yeah, we have more for that. Sure, why not?
Assuming you survive your childhood profession, it's time for the big boy world. Now, I know the idea of living poor in a Victorian city is probably a terrifying concept, but don't worry. The Victorians actually put in some effort to help the poverty-stricken wastes of oxygen excuse me, less fortunate folk. For example, if you're homeless, you can escape the cold at a penny sit-up, where for the small price of 1 penny, you get to sit on a bench in a shelter for the night. Whoa, now don't get too crazy. You're not allowed to sleep here. What do you think you are, a human? You only paid for the privilege of sitting, and penny sit-ups even had monitors to ensure you didn't fall asleep. If you're looking to catch some Z's, you're gonna have to cough up an extra penny at a 2-penny hangover. Don't get too excited. Contrary to the name suggests, a 2-penny hangover is not a charity dive bar where—
Yeah, around this time I guess people were concerned about being proper with a quotation more than they were concerned about being human, right? This is for sitting. How dare they sleep? Yeah, but you're not gonna be concerned about why are they sleeping in the first place, right? And everybody, those people with monocle, right? Rich people, or those waste of oxygens, those freeloaders. Yeah, okay, you despise them so much. Who's gonna clean the chimney? Are you gonna do that, you idiot?
where you can drink yourself into an ethanol-induced coma. Instead, it was a rope that you literally hung over. Not the most comfortable experience, but at least you'll be the coolest kid on campus with your minimalist—
Man, fuck that. What the hell?
Excited. Contrary to the name suggests, a 2-penny hangover is not a charity dive bar where you can drink yourself into an ethanol-induced coma. Instead, it was a rope that you literally hung over. Not the most comfortable—
A still from the Great Turnover 1978. Are you kidding me right now? How is this even a thing? I mean, look, in the start of the 20th century, years after this era gets over, people use what? Cocaine and heroin, or whatever that was. It cocaine or heroin for cough medicine? So I guess this doesn't feel that far off if you see the context.
Experience, but at least you'll be the coolest kid on campus with your minimalist hammocking setup. The rope was ideal because it allowed the staff to quickly, dispense with all the poor people in the morning. But hey, maybe it was a good day at the factory and you walked out with 4 pennies in your pocket, you little aristocrat you. Well, you can afford to be a high roller and head on over to a 4-penny coffin. Yep. While it may look like you just got shipped back from the Crimean War, a 4-penny coffin was quite the step up from a rope, to be fair. You got to spend the night in a nice coffin, you had a tarp to keep warm, and you even got assigned your own little serial number, which is undoubtedly the closest you'll ever get to being acknowledged in your life. Speaking of life, you better get used to this one, as people
How did nobody went to Queen Victoria, whatever? So yeah, people are hanging by the rope, and I don't mean that by literally hanging. They are just hanging there. And if they are rich enough, they are literally sleeping in coffin. That's your country now. Nobody went to the Victoria and said that Queen Victoria, whatever that was.
didn't exactly graduate from social classes, so the only 4 walls you'll likely ever get to call home will be a coffin at best or a coffin at worst. If you can afford it. But on the bright side, if you manage to survive through the era, you'll get to experience many of the following significant discoveries and advancements. America found its second manifest destiny with the discovery of crude oil in 1859. Charles Darwin published his book on the concept of
The biggest discovery of them all, and I think it is the biggest one, is Faraday's electromagnetism. Without that, none of the things that you see around, and I'm not even going to specify it, anything that you see around wouldn't exist. Every single industry, every single thing, every single motor, none of that would have existed without Faraday. And that was 1845, if I remember correctly. So yeah, Victorian era, there were many big discoveries that happened, right? And this electromagnetism was a big one.
Evolution, meaning that in a few centuries we may evolve past thinking Crocs are cool. Darwin's half-cousin, Francis Galton, took this research and started modern eugenics, which led to problems. Alexander Graham Bell patents the telephone in 1876, a device that changed the world by allowing people to learn about their car's extended warranty. Germ theory would become accepted by the end of the Victorian era, and nobody would doubt doctors ever again. The 19th century saw many innovations in data visualization.
Oh God, I love this channel. Yeah, look at all the shit that happened. Then World War I starts, I guess, in the early 20th century, and there's pandemic there again. Nobody doubted scientists and doctor after those kind of horrific thing, especially after they treat things like polio and million other vaccines. That people have no idea what kind of disease even exists out there. Not to mention weird type of fucking worms and shit that could be inside your body is no longer because they made that extinct. I saw the videos where the entire worm type of thing, somebody cut out of their leg. It was sticking out. Like, what the fuck? Things like that don't exist anymore because of this. But yeah, people are going to be questioning medical scientists now. Like, what do they know? I know better. I'm not going to give a vaccine. And then you hear about measles outbreak or whatever. Like, what a fucking idiot.
For statistics, which are used today for optimizing shiny Pokemon encounter strategies. The Bezimer process gave us bigger buildings for more people. Modern artillery gave us smaller buildings for less people. Radiation was discovered in 1896, leading the cancer treatment in Imagine Dragons. The Navier-Stokes equations were developed to describe the motion of viscous fluids and weed out chemical engineering students. And Carl Benz builds the world's first car while simultaneously killing the concept of peaceful suburban life. And those are just a few of the significant advancements made during the iconic
you didn't talk about Faraday?
Era. So, Alex, are you excited for your new Victorian life? You want to go home and play Elden Ring? Good boy. The Victorian era. Disgusting and deadly, but inspired Bloodborne. 3 out of 10 stars.
Next time somebody says, it would be so awesome if I were born during this period, during this era, BlueJay should make a video about that specific person, just like this. This was epic. Oh, you want to go to Victorian era? Here you go. Damn, this was really good. And this is just Victorian, 100 or 150 years ago, right? I mean, imagine 1,000 years ago, how fucked up it would have been. But yeah, I mean, you look, even if you try to look at some lord and lady or whatever, you're going to get beat up. How dare you look at them? Kids, 4 years old, cleaning out chimney. How the fuck, first of all, 4-year-old climbing a ladder and cleaning a chimney is already panicking me, just thinking about it. And they're like, this is an everyday thing. God knows how many of them fell down and how regular it became that people just basically how the animation show just sweep them aside. Like, what the fuck, man? This video was awesome, man. BlueJay is just incredible channel. I love that this is just getting bigger and bigger, 500,000 subscribers right now. And there's 9-10 videos. So I like this. The more this channel grows, it's going to be better because it's only Salmonella type, but its own channel, right? It's not a Salmonella alternative. It's different, right? But same type of humor. So it's awesome. Alright, well, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.